Have you ever woken up knowing exactly what you needed to do that day and did nothing? Not because you didn't want to, not because you were lazy, but because the moment came, your body didn't move, and you just stayed there, staring at the ceiling or your phone, feeling a weight that doesn't have a clear name. It's not tiredness, it's not sadness, it's a kind of blockage, as if between intention and action there was a glass you can't get through. You think this happens because you lack discipline, because you're not the type who gets motivated easily, because there's some character flaw that other people don't have. It's not that. What's happening isn't psychological in the way most people imagine. It's biochemical. There's a specific system inside you that has been modified slowly, almost imperceptibly, and now works against action every time you try to act. And the cruelest part is that this same system is responsible for you feeling tired without having done anything, irritated without a clear reason, and compulsively attracted to anything other than what you need to do. Stay with me, because understanding the mechanism is what changes the situation, not just another list of habits you already know you should have. And there is a detail about the system that most explanations completely ignore. I'll get to that in a few minutes. Think about the last time you were truly excited to do something. Not just generally excited, but really excited, with that feeling of wanting to start right away, already mentally anticipating how it would be. This state has a biological name, and understanding what happened to it explains a lot of what you are feeling now, because this state didn't disappear by accident. Dopamine is not the pleasure hormone. That is the biggest misconception about it. Dopamine is the anticipation hormone. It is the fuel your brain uses to get you moving towards something, not the reward at the end, but the drive to go after it. Think of a child on the eve of their birthday. They barely sleep. They are not feeling the pleasure of the present yet. They are anticipating it. This is what dopamine does. It creates the desire to seek, not the satisfaction of having. And here lies the problem. The modern environment has learned to trigger this system in a surgical and continuous way. Every time you open your phone, the feed does not deliver guaranteed pleasure. It delivers possibility. The next post might be interesting. It might be important. It might be that funny video that will change your mood. It might. And this uncertainty, this variability of reward, is exactly what makes the dopamine system fire repeatedly, without real delivery. Researchers have identified that this pattern of unpredictable reward is the same mechanism that keeps people in front of slot machines for hours. It is not weakness. It is engineering. The phone was designed with the same logic. What happens after years like this is not obvious. The dopamine system recalibrates itself. It adjusts to the level of stimulus it receives. When it frequently receives fast, variable, and low-cost stimuli, it raises the response threshold. In practical terms, the things that used to motivate you, like a project, a conversation, a long-term goal, no longer generate the same signal of anticipation. The brain unconsciously compares them with the amount of stimulus it receives from the environment and classifies them as low in signal. It's not that you lost the will. It's that the reward detection system has been reconfigured to respond to speeds that real goals cannot offer. And this is exactly where the second character that turns a problem into a maze comes in. Cortisol. Think of it as your body's crisis coordinator. In a real emergency, it is brilliant. It mobilizes energy, narrows your focus, increases alertness, and temporarily pushes non-urgent processes into the background. But when that crisis coordinator is activated, did it all day long for a deadline, a notification, a bill, a difficult conversation you postpone, the body slowly stops distinguishing between real danger and daily pressure. It begins to live as if everything requires a survival response. And in a continuous low-grade threat, the organism does something very specific. He deactivates what is not urgent. The motivation for long-term projects, the ability to feel anticipated pleasure, the calm state that allows planning, all of this is classified by the body as non-urgent in the face of a threat. Chronically elevated cortisol does not paralyze you dramatically. It gradually empties the tank from which action comes. And here's something that completely changes the picture. The tiredness you feel at the end of a day when you did almost nothing is not laziness. It is the real metabolic cost of a nervous system that spent hours in a low-grade alert state. Chronic cortisol has an energy cost. The body spends energy to keep the alarm on even if no real fire has occurred. Think with me. You wake up tired. The dopamine system cannot generate the anticipation signal it would need to get you moving. Cortisol is elevated, signaling a diffuse threat. The body conserves energy, you do not act. And then comes the irritation, because you know you should have acted. And this self-criticism raises even more cortisol. It's a labyrinth with moving walls. And then the third character comes in, the least talked about of the three. Serotonin is not the happiness hormone. It is the stability hormone. It is what allows you to feel good within a neutral state. Not euphoric, not stimulated, just, well, at peace with the moment without needing it to be special. When serotonin levels drop, and they drop with lack of sunlight, social isolation, fragmented sleep, inflammation, the neutral state becomes intolerable. Silence turns into discomfort. Stillness turns into anxiety. And the brain starts actively seeking anything that breaks this discomfort. Not because you are weak, because the emotional regulation system is crying out for help in a way the body knows, even if you don't consciously know it. The compulsion for food, screens, conflict, anything that generates a reaction is not a lack of control. It is a low serotonin system trying to self-regulate with the tools it finds available. And when you understand the three together, dopamine recalibrated for speed, chronically elevated cortisol, falling serotonin, the picture becomes clear. It is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is an environment that has been built in such a way that these three systems come into direct conflict with the ability to act intentionally. This is not irreversible. The body recalibrates in the direction it receives signals, exposure to light at the right time, movement that is not punishment, real social connection not mediated by screens, tasks with a visible beginning and end, allowing the dopamine system to register completion, sleep that allows cortisol to follow its natural cycle of decline. These are not prescriptions. They are what happens when the system receives the environment it was built to operate in. When the alarm stops ringing for no reason, the body no longer needs to conserve everything. The tank starts filling up again, and the action, the one you know you should take but couldn't, begins to seem less distant. Not because you became more disciplined, because the system started working the way it always should have. What you just learned is the foundation, but it can be completely canceled out by one silent mistake that almost nobody catches. To make sure that's not happening to you, I handpicked the video showing up on your screen right now, and also in the card above. In it, I reveal the hidden error that 90% of people make when trying to live a healthier life. Building good habits means nothing if this one specific thing is quietly blocking your results from the inside. Click now to make sure you're not sabotaging your own progress without even knowing it. I'll see you there in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. If this content was valuable to you and helped you in any way, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tips and information. And don't keep this to yourself. Share it with those you care about so that this chain of well-being grows even more. A big hug, and I wish you infinite health.